concerned also about the movement, right? So let's say I have now a rib cage tilted this way. So I block in my rib cage, right? And I block in the head like that, right? So I'm not really measuring now the model. I'm just using the proportional relationship. And even this at an intuitive level. So now these are the hips right here. So now what I know is that in the typical proportion, this should be 4 heads. So let me see if it's 4 heads, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4, that's fine. So I know this is good, right? From the point of view of the typical proportion. Then let's see that this is the pelvis right here, right? And I have now the iliac spine here, iliac spine here. Now, this is a drum, right? So it's easier, much easier to imagine the movement of these really, really complex forms if I disregard completely all of these bumps and things, and I just think about the height, bless you, the width and the depth, and the position of the landmark, which is what I did here. So this cylinder contains this, right? And I can block in the iliac spine at the upper quarter of the height of the pelvis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sense? So that's all I need. That's all I need. Now, if my figure is, the pelvis is tilted, then I will have the alignment of these iliac spine, not horizontal, but at an angle. Plus, if it's also turning away from me, then I'm going to have this iliac spine on the margin here, and this iliac spine moving to the left, right? The pubic bone is going to be here now, centered here, right, like this. And that's going to be the pubic bone. Is that clear? Now, I have the neck here, let's say here like this. And maybe I can have the head turn that way, right? Turn that way like that. So I have the head turn that way, the rib cage turn that way, and instead of having the sternum going through the center of the exact center of the volume, I can move it to the left, implying the turning of the rib cage like that, right? Here. So the volumes. So now here I have the head going this way, right? That way. The rib cage going this way, and this is turning that way. So now together I have also this sinuosity here, right? And now I'm thinking, all right, I want to block in the head. Okay, I know that the legs. I know that the legs are about the same measurement as the space between the pubic bone and the top of the head. So I can do that. I can take that, move them here, right? And now I know that my legs are going to end up here. So now I can have, let's say, a leg like this, right? And a leg like that, right? Or maybe I change my idea, I have the leg crossed like that, right? So I can, if I copy the legs exactly the way they are, and the pose of the leg exactly the way it is. If I want to create a figurative movement like Cambiaso did, then I can somehow try different poses here like this, right? With the legs, and see what they look like. I know where they start from, I know where they end, I know what the length should be. That's quite an advantage. So just one line like this, right, very quickly, can help me to visualize if my pose is correct, if the action, if the dynamism of the expressive qualities of the pose are correct. Now, starting from here, I know that if this is two heads, right? Remember, 2 heads from here to here and 2 heads from here to here, then once I know where the legs start, which is halfway between iliac spine and pubic bone, halfway here is where the knee is, right? So I see if this is 2, halfway, okay, a little bit higher. So now that is going to be the leg, like this, right? One leg here, and then I can block in now the lower leg like that as a truncated cylinder like that, truncated cone, and then blocking the foot here. So now this leg is gonna start also halfway between the pubic bone and the iliac spine, but it's going to go out this way. So at this point, see, what I do, if I do this, I can position the leg in the right place, structurally, anatomically, because I know what the relationship of the leg is to the adjacent landmark or to the pelvis, right? So here is the other leg coming down like this, and then I can block in maybe the volume of the calf. But we're gonna do this later when we add more more of the more volume, more specific volumes to the figure, right? So now here we have the we have, let's say, we can block in the spine or some sort of connection between the pelvis and the rib cage. And here I have now the clavicle. So the clavicle, unlike the pelvis, if the pelvis tilts, right, this part goes up and this part goes down. It's a solid block. In this joint in here instead, the clavicle are joined here and here, but they don't connect in the back. So if one clavicle goes up, the other clavicle does not necessarily move. So this goes up like this, see that? And this stays up like that. So I can now do this and this, starting, I know where they start. They start from here. And remember, how do I find this joint? Well, this joint is, the shoulder joint is just below the line of the clavicle. So once I lift the clavicle, I can attach the head of the humerus here and the head of the humerus here. And I have now arm. How long is that? Well, it's about the length of the rib cage. All right, blocked in here, right? And here I could also block this in perspective, right? In foreshortening, like that, right? Because I have this visualization of essential visualization of the complex form of the forearm. So this is much easier to imagine in perspective or foreshortening, right? So now this arm goes up like this, right? And the length of this, we want to relate it to, let's say, has to be, the forearm has to be slightly shorter than this. That's good. And then the hand is here, slightly shorter than this, right here. So, and this is the top. So we have now this coming down at an angle like this, right? And here at the bottom. So that's easy because we can find, these two have to be parallel, right? Here and here. The neck, that's easy, a cylinder. So we're blocking the cylinder, right? Now the box in here is going to be wider, but I don't know how much because I don't have reference. So I have to guess it, right? Guess it. So, but I know that the width of the rib cage is going to be a little bit more than the height of the head. 1 1/4 is slightly tilted, so I think it's acceptable. But I see that this half in here is smaller than this half in here, so that I know that I don't have a back view. It's going to be tilted like this, right? So now, which means that I see the side of this figure here like this. Right? I block this without messing with the sorry, even less. I don't want to be drawing around the arm, right? Just go over it like that. So this is the side of the rib cage, and the arm is going to be attached here, and the arm is going to become a cylinder, like that. This also could be a truncated cone, like that. And this is the center of the box, right? Here, out here now, this is behind, right? So this helps us to figure out how volume overlap each other. So we could block in the shading here, right here. And we see how this arm is over. How this arm here is over that, and how this is over that, right? So here I have the spine. We can block in the spine here, and that is the marshmallow, right? This marshmallow, we want the marshmallow to be the same width as the box. So here, instead of a marshmallow now, what we do, we block in a box. We block in also the bottom, which is easier to see. Now we continuity between the spine and the pelvic tilt in here, the back. Here I have the leg starting from here, right? And I can cut it down like that. It's just a total convention, but I know the joint is going to be here, right? Now from here I block in this and the back of the leg, right? So now this is more rectangular. So this is the side, right? All the side here. This is the side plane, right? And now here, this is going to be maybe, because I see the foot in here, right? It means that the leg is probably a little bit turned that way. So if it's turned that way, I might be able to see a little bit of inside of the thigh here, like this. That. I'm just speculating. Here we have a volume of the lower leg coming down like this. And we can do this as a volume like this, right? Which I see the side and I see the back. But we could also add a little bit of another volume here like this to show the volume of the calf. That's the heel, right? And this is the foot, right? So again, the foot, think of sphere, right? Even when you don't see it, you can imagine what the heel is going to be here, right? Sphere, and then you can block in a wedge like that, right? This is the side, and this is horizontal line. So now here I have same thing, right? I might be able to see this slightly at an angle, right? Heel, wedge, and this is the inside of the leg of the foot, right? So this is a more traditional